Hello everyone, welcome to Super Coaching UPSC by Textbook. This is Venkatesh. As you all know, I'm doing a series of world mapping series for the upcoming Prelims 2024. So we have discussed about North America, South America, Africa. So as part of the continuity of the sessions, today we're discussing about world mapping of Asia, right? So there's one problem here, I think, okay. So world mapping by with Asia, right? So when you talk about the mappings, about the any kind of series, especially like mapping series with respect to a continent, the thing which we need to remember always about is try to identify from the particular, what you say, from the continental map, say for example Asia continental map. What are the things which are visible on the Asia's continental map? Be it the rivers, be it in terms of the oceans, be it in terms of the minor seas, the peninsula, all such kind of things. You have to focus from the point of view of, what you say, that from the continent point of view. Yes, as you dig deeper, you might have a better maps. But the ones which you need to identify is not the minor ones, but the major ones which are really visible here. You can see the LOC here, you can see the Sea of Okhotsk, you can see the Kamchatka Peninsula, you can see the Bering Sea, you can talk about the things like Persian Gulf, Red Sea, the Caspian Sea, which are very visible here. These are the things which you need to focus for must and should. I hope you all are following this, right? I hope you are following this. Okay. So when you are focusing about that, you need not go deeper and worry about majority of the things. You can worry about the things which are actually, which we are supposed to do at the time of the exam. Just a minute. So let me see some comments. I hope you are having no issues with this. Right. Okay. I think the map is also clearly visible as I am seeing, checking the content exactly in YouTube. It is also visible. Right. So let's see. So let's start about the Asia. So when you talk about the Asia map, you can talk about it's a world's largest continent. World's largest continent having an area of almost 44 crores. So 4 lakh 44,000. Sorry, 4 crores 44 lakhs, almost 1,000 square kilometers. A decent area covering total area of 8.8 over the total Earth surface area. And the thing about Asia, it's not just the world's largest continent, it's also about the world's largest population, almost having 60% of the population. Now, why do you think such things are happening? It is all because of the availability of the resources. It is part of the monsoonal lands. See, the regions of India, Myanmar, Thailand, southern China and all are in the tropical part with the monsoonal lands where the rainfall is quite decent, right? The water is available. There are some decent major rivers which are flowing across, which are the source of fertile soils and also a source of water. And India and China happens to be the ancient centers of civilization, not just India and China, but even on the West Asian countries. You can talk about some Iran and all those areas. So since then, people are settling here, which we are witnessing that impact. So that is the reason why it is one of the largest populated area of the world. So it is the resources which had determined it. Right? Right, all of you? So let's now move forward to the next thing now. Now, when you talk about the things, the first thing everyone will have a doubt is where is the boundaries of Asia? First question, Turkey, is it in Asia or is it in Europe? Right? For that question, I have resolved the doubt. I think you all know it. I think the map makes it very easy now. So Turkey, Europe is in Asia or Europe. It is in, you see, this is the Black Sea. So this is also partly in the West Asia and in the European countries of the Eastern European nations. So Turkey It is also part of East Europe here as well as the West Asia. So it is a mix of both boundaries. Similarly, Indonesia here. Similarly here, this is also the one boundary which has some kind of a, what do you say, slowly aligning with Australia. You can see this is Indonesia, part of Asia, and then these are the, what do you say, now then begins the Oceania continent, right? Moving further, you can see similarly Russia, you can see Ural mountains separating the Europe from the Asia, right? Then when you talk about the countries, similarly here, this Sinai Peninsula, this one, which I'll show you deeper, there is another map which I would be showing about this. Sinai Peninsula, this point, is actually part of Asia, though it is politically associated with African country of Egypt. So that's where some maps show that. But you can consider Sinai Peninsula is the transition between Asia and Africa, right? Now these are the things. Black Sea, transition of Asia and Europe. Ural Mountains, transition of Asia and Europe. Caspian Sea, part of Asia, right? So Kazakhstan, is it part of Asia or Europe? It is part of Central Asian countries. So Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, these are all the part of the Central Asian countries where you find the impact with respect to, see the recent India North-South transport, international North-South transport corridor. It goes across that. You have the ports of Chabahar port, which connects to that region. Such kind of things, isn't it? Right? Then you can talk about the Southeast Asia, the Indian subcontinent, India, Bangladesh, and Southeastern Asian countries, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. Now, one more thing, these countries to the east of India, remember them: Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, right? So these are the things. Then once you've talked about these kind of things, the political things you have slowly understood. You see, this is where it is ending. The Papua New Guinea, that is where you will find the Australia and the Oceania continent. Let us move forward now that you got the idea of the political boundary, right? Now when you talk about some more things, okay, so let's talk about the mountains. What happened to this picture? It is not visible. There was some problem there. Okay, so when you see about the mountains, you can see here the Himalayas, the mighty Himalayas, the major mountains. You can talk about the Himalayas. Then after the Himalayas, you have the, here you can see the Tian Shan mountain ranges, Tian Shan. Here you will find the Kunlun mountain ranges, the Kunlun. Then you find the Altai mountain range here. This is the Altai. So these are the major mountain ranges: Kunlun, Altai, Tian Shan, right? Then what more? Can you name some more? Anyone? Can you name some of the mountain ranges here? Let me see the comments. Can you name? Okay. Here you can see the Hindu Kush mountains. These are the Hindu Kush mountains which you find here as part of the Himalayas, right? Hindu Kush. You can have the Ural mountains. This is one boundary. Yes. Yes, Gayatri, you can have said about the Caucasus mountains. Yes. So you have the Zagros and the Caucasus mountains on the eastern side here. See, here you can see the Zagros mountains, the Caucasus mountains here. So at least the Zagros. Now all these are what we call this continuous belt. This continuous belt is what is called as Himalayan Alps and Himalayan mountain structure. We can talk about the Himalayas, Hindu Kush, and the Alps, southern Alps of the Alps of the Europe as part of the continuity. You can calculate the one big mountain range of the world. Yes, though they are not connected, but you do find some kind of linkages, right? So these are some of the major mountains. Please remember, they can ask you match the following: Altai mountain range, Kunlun mountain range, Tian Shan mountain range, right? Then the Zagros mountains, all such kind of things. Then one more thing you can remember, the Ural mountains, right? Ural mountains. Then here you will not find much of the major mountain range. Maybe you can talk about the Verkhonsik range, some minor range, Verkhonsik, very, very minor. Then when you talk about the plains, one major plain you have the Siberian plain. Then you have the Huangzi and the Yellow River, the plains of Yellow River here, the Manchurian plains here. This is one thing. We'll further discuss about it. I think you all know the fond of, the cuisine of Manchuria, right? It is originated in this region, Manchurian plains. So we'll discuss about some more rivers. When we discuss about the rivers, you will get to know the plains there. So let's move forward to the next thing now. So we have discussed the major mountains. What about the peaks? Should I need to discuss about the mountain peak? Everest, the highest point of the world. Naturally, it is the highest point of the world. It is highest point of Asia as well, which we need not explain. Then the second highest, we know the K2. You can talk about the you can talk about the Kanchenjunga. So K2 part of the Ladakh region in India, though it is part of the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, right? So officially it is part of Ladakh, administered by Pakistan occupied Kashmir, right? So we have the highest points in Asia as well. Then when you talk about the plateaus, one major plateau we all know, the plateau of Tibet. I think when I have explained about the concept of monsoons, you did see that I have explained that plateau of Tibet is the one which separates why monsoons are so unique to the part of Asia, isn't it? So when you talk about it, is that the separation point, plateau of Tibet. Here itself you can see it is surrounded by the Kunlun mountain range. This is the Kunlun mountain range. These are the Himalayas. You have the Pamir Knot and you have the Pamir, the mountain range, the Pamir plateau as well. This is one major plateau. You can see that this plateau of Tibet is surrounded by the mighty Himalayas, is surrounded by all the mountain ranges. As it is surrounded by all the mountain ranges and it is one flat land, it receives more insolation than the surrounding mountains, because of which it acts like a heat engine, which is leading to having some impact with the monsoons, right? So that's what plateau of Tibet, one of the loftiest mountain, 3,000 to 4,000 meters. You need to talk about its height. It's the highest plateau of the world, Tibetan plateau, right? Then you can talk about some more thing here. You can discuss the Mongolian plateau, some major plateau. Then you can talk about some height here, plateau of Iran, around the Hindu Kush mountains and the Zagros mountains. You will find the plateau of Iran. So these are some of the major plateaus. Of course, you all know the Deccan Plateau. This is one such plateau, right? We don't discuss much about India and the Asia as part of the Asia, because we already discussed India's mapping in detail, right? Let's move forward. Right. Then when you talk about the peninsula, if you talk about the peninsulas which are part of the Asia, right? Peninsula which are part of the Asia, Sinai Peninsula happens to be one of the major one. Sinai Peninsula, that's what I have told you. This is what we call it as Gulf of Aqaba, right? You can see Gulf of Aqaba is bordered with Egypt, Israel, Jordan, as well as Saudi Arabia. This is the Gulf of Aqaba, very, very geopolitically important area, right? Then when you talk about this Gaza Strip, we'll discuss that further later on. Then this is the Arabian Peninsula, so surrounded by Red Sea and the Persian Gulf. So tomorrow if they ask you, arrange the following in north-south: Persian Gulf, Arabian Peninsula, Gulf of Aden. Or they might ask you Gulf of Oman and Gulf of Aden. You should not be confusing. So the order should be Persian Gulf or Gulf of Oman, Arabian Peninsula, Gulf of Aden, then the Horn of Africa. So such kind of things they can definitely ask in the UPSC, isn't it? Right. Then moving forward, let's discuss about the next major peninsulas. We all know this is the Indian Peninsula. Then this is the, what do you call this? Anyone? This is what we call it as Indo-China Peninsula. Indo-China Peninsula. You can see the countries of Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam and all. This is the Indo-China Peninsula broadly, which we can call it as. Yes. So this is what we call it as the regions between India, China, Indo-China Peninsula. And when you talk about further about this one, this is different, which I'll discuss in the next map. Right. This is what we call it as the Malay Peninsula. See, this is the Indo-China. This is the Malay Peninsula. Malay Peninsula. So this is one of the prominent peninsula. This is where you will find the Malacca Strait, right? This is the Malacca Strait. Then you have further north, you have the Kamchatka Peninsula, Russia. And you have the Korean Peninsula. This is Korean Peninsula, very near to the Japan, right? You do find the Korean Peninsula, North Korea, South Korea, the 38-degree dash line which separates North Korea, South Korea. Such questions can definitely be asked. Then, when you talk about the major rivers, when you talk about the rivers of Asia, don't we not discuss about the rivers of Asia with respect to, apart from Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra, of course, Godavari is also shown here. Apart from that, the other rivers of Asia, can you name of the rivers which flows in Myanmar? A major river which flows in Myanmar. Can you name that? It is very, very prominent. You should have heard Irrawaddy River, a very, very prominent river. Then Mekong, you can see there, Mekong-Ganga cooperation. There is one kind of a political alliance, no, as part of the East China Sea, Mekong-Ganga cooperation. So Mekong-Ganga. So now you see, where are they moving? Where is their mouth? Irrawaddy mouth is Bay of Bengal. Mekong-Ganga mouth is, this is into the Pacific Ocean, into the Gulf of Thailand, after the Gulf of Thailand, right? So this is into the South China Sea. Now when you talk about this, arrange the following rivers from east to west. You all know this. Ganga, Brahmaputra, not an issue. Confusion will all start with Irrawaddy or Mekong. Mekong is the most eastern one. So Mekong River, Irrawaddy River, very prominent. This is the one where you will find the teak which will be transported, which is transported all along the river. We are also trying to have cooperation with respect to Irrawaddy River, where you can have connectivity through our northeastern states, right? Such we are also building some ports. More in Manipur, one of the prominent place where we are talking about this connectivity. So such mapping becomes very, very important. Then when you talk about the rivers of China, the Yellow River which moves towards the Yellow Sea, as the picture is also showing in the yellow color, the Yellow River, right? The Yangtze River, one of the prominent river here. So along this Yellow and the Yangtze River only, you will find the river, the mineral basins of China. Majority of the minerals which are located in China are all along this region on the eastern side. Just like India, we have development where the ports, because the southern states are having the ports, the development has picked up pace like anything when compared with the north. Similarly, when you talk about China, eastern China is more developed than western China because of more connectivity with respect to the ports. right? So some major rivers. Then moving further, you can see that Tigris and Euphrates, one prominent rivers of the ancient civilization, which moved towards the Persian Gulf. This is the Persian Gulf. This is the mouth. So Tigris and Euphrates, one major. See, they'll ask you about questions. Match the following major rivers, not the minor rivers. Tigris, Euphrates, as well as Irrawaddy and all. They might ask you the rivers and also the, what do you say, the mouths. So such kind of questions you should not miss. Right. When you talk about the deserts further, let's move to the next point. Right. Deserts. Hello. Hello. Badal Kumar Saho. Hello. How are you doing? Right. Right. So let's talk about the deserts. So we all know the deserts, prominent deserts is part as an extension of the, what do you say, the Saharan desert. You'll also find one major desert here, the Arabian desert, part of the regions of Yemen, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Jordan, and all the things. Then moving towards the east, you will find the Thar desert, which I'll show you in the next picture. Then you will find the cold desert here. This is the cold desert, Gobi. Similarly, Thar is another hot desert. Thar desert, hot desert. And when you talk about this is where is called as Takla Makan desert, which is also a cold desert. And it is a rain shadow of Himalayas. What is this? Rain shadow of Himalayas. Takla Makan. So you can see here, when I had discussed about the topography, you see here, I have shown you the Kunlun mountain ranges, the Pamir Knot, the Tian Shan. In between this, you will find the Takla Makan range, which is a rain shadow of this Himalayas. Rain shadow of the Himalayas and the Kunlun. So that is why this is a cold desert. You will not find much vegetation there. So it's a cold desert, just like Gobi desert, right? So Gobi desert and Takla Makan, the cold deserts of Asia. Then moving further, the lakes. When you talk about the lakes as such, one major lake we all should remember about is the Lake Baikal range. Lake Baikal, of course, there are so many lakes, the entire lakes of the world I have shown you here. But when you talk about the major lake, I wanted to remember about the Lake Baikal range, which is part of the Siberia. It is one of the largest freshwater resources of the world. Dominant freshwater frozen lake, Lake Baikal. So one of the prominent one. Of course, Caspian Sea. Now, is it a sea or a lake? You can have a segregation of, that's a different topic altogether to be discussed. So that is also we can consider as a lake, Caspian Sea. Then Lake Balkhash. This is one more lake, Lake Balkhash, right? So mostly when you talk about the Asia's lake, the prominent lake as part of the world map, you can talk about the Baikal Lake, right? Then some political places which are in use. Have you all considering the recent conflict with respect to the West Asia, Israel and the Palestinian issue, the Hamas, right? You see that humanitarian assistance moving across the Rafah region. So the Rafah border crossing, which is part of the Gaza Strip, is located where? You can see it moves towards Egypt. So Rafah crossing becomes important. Similarly, Kerem Shalom border crossing becomes very, very important. Of course, this is everything is the Gaza Strip, which is having the moving towards the Mediterranean Sea. Then the Rafah crossing is at the boundary between which two countries? They might ask you Gaza and Israel. No, it is Gaza and moving towards Egypt. So everyone will assume is Israel, or some might even assume that it is Jordan. No, it is part of the Egypt. So this is one such kind of major one you want you to remember, right? All of you, the Rafah crossing, right? Are you following this? So the Gaza Strip, the political things which are recently news. So this Rafah crossing becomes very, very important. The Gaza Strip, anyhow, you know. Similarly, when you talk about the islands, the conflicts in the South China Sea, we all know that the China, we are having a conflict, say one such conflict with the China and Japan, the Senkaku Island or the Diaolu Island. I think you all should know the concept behind it. So let me explain that. See, imagine this is, so you can see that this is China, Japan. Now here you will find the, say, a very, very minor islands called as Senkaku or Diaolu Island. Senkaku. Now, politically, as per the United Nations law of the sea, UNCLOS, you see that until 200 nautical miles, it belongs to that particular country. Similarly, this 200 nautical miles belongs to this particular country. This side 200 nautical miles. This side 200 nautical miles. Now, what happens is, if this Senkaku Island is part of the China, then automatically, that's what Chinese claim, no? So when this is part, they're almost getting 400 nautical miles, 200 on either side, of exclusive economic zone, where they can use it for their fisheries, for their cultivation, for their fisheries, food, water resources, the minerals which might be available along the continental shelf. The minerals might not be that, but definitely it is most important, the fishing zone. So from that perspective, why they are asking about is this, the China, they are asking about the Senkaku Island is because of the conflict of the exclusive economic zone. Because of this exclusive economic zone concept itself, you are finding the China and the Japan which are having a impact. So let's see that. Okay, so the same way, the Senkaku Island, which is now they are located where? It is part of the East China Sea. Conflict between which ocean, which countries? China and Japan. Technically, it has passed of the Japan. You can see here the boundary claimed by Japan, the orange color, and the yellow color boundary claimed by China. Now it is more China than what happens. This island, the see, it is a island with zero population. There is no population there. But why do you think that such kind of conflict is happening? It is because of the resources. Resources matter a lot in the present era, isn't it? That is the resources which is the what do you say? The ones which can provide that region to turn into rich. So resources which are determining that. So Senkaku Island, past of which ocean? East China Sea. Conflict between China and Japan. Similarly, now this conflicts you need not remember with respect to which countries completely, because you can see Parasil Islands claimed by the China, as you can see the red color, you can see the Vietnam, the blue color, you can also see the Taiwan, the light blue color here. So Parasil Islands claimed by three countries of Taiwan, South China Sea and Vietnam. Spratly Islands, it is claimed by China, Vietnam, Malaysia as well as Philippines. Now you need not remember about all these countries which are having a boundary here. At least what you can remember is about the which are the countries conflicts with respect to the islands in the South China Sea. Now these are all the countries in South climes with South China Sea, the Parasil, the Scarborough Shoal, the Spratly Islands, or in other words China's 9-dashed line. Remember these four places: 9-dash line, Scarborough Shoal, Spratly Island, Parasin Island, parts of the South China Sea. Right. Right. Then similarly, there is also a conflict with respect to Japan and Russia. Can you name the conflicted islands? Of course, by mistake I have shown you now. Can you name those islands? Have you seen that? Can you name the island which there is a conflict between Japan and Russia? Let me see the comments. Can you name it? Yes, it is the Kuril Islands. So as you can see the picture here, the Kuril Islands, the north of Japan, you find the Kuril Islands, which are also a conflict with respect to Russia and Japan. Now, such kind of mapping conflicts UPSC generally asks, and these are very, very important. Very, very important. Then, similarly, when you talk about the straits, one major strait, Gulf of Eden, so Gulf of Eden and the Red Sea, we have the Bab el Mandab Strait. You have the countries of Red Sea here, Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, Yemen, Saudi. I have the 6 countries which are there. Now, because the Red Sea is in so much in conflict in the present era, I want you to remember about the countries which are sharing boundary with respect to the Red Sea here, right? The Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia. Of course, now Somalia is not part of the Red Sea, it is part of the, it is the Gulf of Aden. So this will be different. So Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, Egypt, then the Saudi Arabia and Yemen, the 6 countries that border the Red Sea. You can see the picture here. Red Sea, the 6 countries. Red Sea is until here. This is Gulf of Aden. So Somalia doesn't come under Red Sea. Such things you should not be missing at all. Djibouti, you can once again, it is at the boundary. So definitely it is located both here and there. So even Djibouti will be coming across, but not the Somalia. So Djibouti, Eritrea, Sudan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, the 6 countries part of the Red Sea. Such kind of questions can be definitely be asked. I hope you are following this, right? Then, when you talk about all the minor seas with respect to Asia, remember the major minor seas. Say you can see the Bering Sea, which is the separation but from North America, Bering Sea, the Bering Strait. Then you have the Sea of Okhotsk. This is part of the Kamchatka Peninsula. You can see the Sea of Japan or the East Sea here. This is the Yellow Sea. This is where you will find the Korean Peninsula, right? Then when you talk about, this is the East China Sea, you can talk about the South China Sea. South China Sea, Parasil Islands, Spratly Islands, all such things. East China Sea, you can talk about you can talk about the East China Sea, where you will find the conflict with respect to Japan and China, that is the Senkaku Island. Then the Japan Sea and all, here you will find the Kuril Islands, Japan Sea. So this is the conflict. Then the Philippine Sea, you can see the Java Sea, the Banda Sea. This is the Andaman Sea here, right? These are the local names. Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, I need not explain, you know it, right? Then this is the Gulf of Thailand. This is the Gulf of Thailand, right? So these are the major things which are part of the major seas or the minor seas of Asia. Hope you all have understood this, right? So that is about the maps of Asia. If you want the PDF file, you can get into it by scanning the QR code and get into the Telegram channel, and you'll have a doubt session. Maybe every Friday we'll have a doubt session. So whatever the doubts you have in terms of preparation, be it in the current affairs, be it in terms of the UPSC preparation and all, or any doubt as part of geography, anything which bothers you, there is one weekly session I will be having from now onwards in Telegram channel, freely. Of course, it's just a doubt session. It is just like a helping you, because we don't physically meet. This is the virtual meeting which you can do it, and you can definitely join there, right? So this is about it. Hope you all are enjoying this. Happy learnings. Like this video, share it to your friends so that they can also learn. Ask them to join into the Telegram channel, as well as even subscribing to the channel. Until then, until we meet next time with a new topic, happy learnings all of you. Take care. Thank you.